Morning, everyone, and welcome to spring planting season.
Thank you. Thank you, Namatasis. Uh, Jim and I are here today at Nilakamagan to tell you the story of Washaxnend, which in Lenape means something like can't be held, can't be bound, they can't hold that one. I just want to recognize here that people here locally have, this is also called Satan's Kingdom in Northfield, Squawkyug. Uh, People have reused materials here to build a boardwalk over the very vulnerable wetlands that we have to pass through here on the trail. And that's really good because these soils are very uh, prone to being compacted and injured that way. It's reused fencing materials and uh, railway ties and fence posts, which I think is grand. And right here we have budding out what I recognize the medicine spirits here. There's dog hobble here, viburnum lantanoides, and along here we have a whole bunch of um, shield fern that these are the persistent leaves that overwintered and got all smashed down by the snow. But beneath that is a whole bunch of Mitchella repens, which is partridge berry, and gold thread, which might be a little hard to pick up, but you can see it again over here pretty easily. Um, Beech and hemlock. All these are wonderful helping spirits for health and well-being. Here's more gold thread, and over here is the Tiarella cordifolia. They call it foam flower. These are the leaves that persist over the winter, and they'll all soon be getting new leaves and sprouting out. But I can't keep going on about that. Oh, and there's bittercress or watercress. I can't be sure which from this distance. But in any case, the story of Washaxnend. A very long time ago, a child was born given the name Washaxnend, which means can't be bound or can't be held. And Washaxnend was a avid flute player, Piquas, and very very spiritual person who oftentimes would in the forest would speak or sing as if someone was there. And very early on, Washaxnend realized the secret of medicine persons, which is to know the source of your abilities and powers in this world, and to stay close to that source, to let that source guide you. And so popular was Washaxnend among the ladies and the young men that the other young men and medicine people grew jealous because some people sort of felt that Washaxnend had medicine gifts as well. And their jealousy began to grow towards bad thoughts. And bad thoughts came to worse thoughts and bad actions. And a lot of the young men and some of the medicine men began to plot against Washaxnend. They tried to ambush Washaxnend at odd places, lay traps for Washaxnend, uh, start rumors about Washaxnend. But still, Washaxnend was unaffected. Every time they tried to do something, it seemed that Washaxnend was a step ahead of them, which are porcupines in there. Anyway, in the end, despite all their tricks and traps and attempts at ambushing, Washaxnend went along just fine. And in their frustration, they began to bend the ear. There's a beaver right there who just sat up and looked at me. I don't know if you saw that. Probably not. But anyway, let's do it again. And there's some ducks there too. I hope I'm not disturbing them. Any case, not at all, looks like. They began to bend the ear of the chief, especially some of the influential warriors and some of the medicine men, and began to tell the chief, you got to watch out for this one Washaxnend with a kind of popularity and medicine power. How do you know they're not going to challenge you and become chief themselves? And so even the chief got drawn into this. And again, they began to plot more, try to ambush Washaxnend at various points, try to lay traps in the form of rumors, but to no avail still. And so then the chief and the medicine men went to a woman who lived on the edge of the village, and she was considered among the people to be a sorceress. And people were afraid of her. They said she was untidy and quote-unquote useless kind of person, but she was considered to have a lot of dark knowledge. And they went to her and they said, we need you to do something about this Washaxnend. We need to get Washaxnend out of the way. And she said, actually the chief and the medicine men went to her. And she said, I can procure his death, but you'll have to wait for the right time. And those who know about these things know when that time comes. And so they agreed, and they promised her a lot of gifts in return, and this would all be kept quiet. And the next day, Washaxnend woke, and his mother was very disturbed and upset. And she said to him, I had a terrible dream last night that people were plotting to kill you. And Washaxnend said, oh, mother, that's already been going on for a long time. They've been laying traps and ambushes for me everywhere for quite some time now. They're jealous of me because the water manitou, my spirit, protects me, and despite their traps, I'm surviving. I mean them no harm, but they're afraid of me. So let me tell you, mother, I have to ask one thing of you. They're actually trying to procure my death right now through the agency of a woman who can and will succeed in killing me. But I'll be okay if you just listen to my instructions and follow them. The water manitou will protect me. So if you find me dead, just tie my flute to my wrist and take me down to the water and cast me in and leave me there. And in some days, I'll be well again and return to you, because water manitou will heal me and everything will be fine. But no matter what you do, don't give in to anything or you grief for any pressure. You have to remember these instructions, otherwise all will be lost. And sure enough, that night came, they went to sleep, and in the morning, when the mother got up, she found that Washaxnend appeared to be completely dead. She was completely overcome with grief, but she remembered his instructions. And so she tied his flute to his wrist, and she dragged him, the poor old woman, all the way down to the riverside and cast him in, and the people of the village lined up to see this spectacle in complete horror. And people were overcome with grief at the sight of this poor old woman dragging her child through the center of the village and casting him into the river like someone who's died under suspicious circumstances. And then she practically crawled her way back home in her grief, and the village stood by, completely stunned by these sights and events. And 5 days came and went, and the whole village was aggrieved, and even the chief and the jealous medicine people and the jealous warriors and that woman from the edge of the village who had procured this dark medicine on Washaxnend, had already become overcome with grief over what they had done and regret, and a sense of foreboding or the evil of it. When in that morning, Washaxnend's mother woke, and she went out of the wigwam and looked into a misty morning rain, and she thought she heard flute music coming. And then after a few minutes it became louder, and soon she was sure that she heard flute music. And then Washaxnend appeared, as well as ever, at the edge of their fields, and she was overcome with joy, and even though she was in disbelief. And Washaxnend took his mother's hand and walked down through the center of the village and paraded through the village with his mother playing flute. And the people who had done this evil came running out to see these sights, and they were so stunned by what they saw that they shook in their shoes with both fear and disbelief, and they were so overcome with guilt over the wrongfulness of what they had done that those people, they went into decline pretty quickly and lived unhappy and short lives. And so this is the story of Washaxnend, the one that can't be bound. Take it as a caution, as a lesson on the strength of knowing what your powers and abilities are in this world and where they come from, and staying close to that. Because if you stay on your path, you will be victorious in your good efforts. Peace and wellness. Wanishi, Nyawan, Tabatni, Miigwech.